accidentally came across Married at First Sight New Zealand, and I'm glad I actually watched it and reviewed it, because I think there were a lot of lessons to be learned. I think there were a lot of shortcomings in these relationships that we could all benefit from studying. I am sad that the women were not prepared for the experiment. They came in with lists and expected to get their lists just like they would get an order at a restaurant. And when they didn't get that, they kicked off, because you can't all be complaining that you were mothering your husbands. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. How did these men survive without you? Anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight New Zealand, Season 4, Episode 15. Why does it seem to be a trend that every single time Maddie is never held accountable? I am furious. I am fuming. Anyway, I digress. So you have all the couples come together for the final reunion, and I feel some type of way. I'm not going to regurgitate everything they've said at the start before the couples sit down on the couch, just because it's the same. Oh, I found myself. Oh, I felt the other person wasn't here for the right reasons. Everybody has something negative to say. Here is my opinion. I don't get why Maddie gets away with being disrespectful to Nate and is not held accountable. Nate brought up that she didn't want to talk about anything off camera. She didn't want to reveal anything about herself. She didn't want to discuss how he was feeling, or she didn't want him to express any emotions unless they were on camera. That has never been addressed. Why? Why has it not been addressed? Because that's a big red flag. That shows you that she came to the show just to perform for the cameras. And when they were not on camera, she couldn't tolerate this man. I have a feeling this is not her type of guy. She should have told him that I only date a specific type of guy. And the moment she realized that that is who he is, she switched off and she looked for problems. And because he revealed on camera that this is what she's been telling me, that don't cry off camera, wait until the cameras are here, don't ask me about myself, wait until the cameras are here. This is why she had a problem. This is why she had a bone to pick. And the experts have not questioned her about it. For her to say she was mothering this guy, she never said anything about that. She said he would shut down, but he's not as vocal or as loud as she is. So how does she expect him to sort of keep up with her? Some people are just easygoing and they don't like confrontation. He appears like a non-confrontational guy. The fact that it took Piripi sort of asking a question that, how do you feel? I saw you look away when she was talking. That's because he's shutting down. He can't take anymore because he doesn't have the words to sort of reply to her. He doesn't have the capacity to sort of say anything to her. And for her to be allowed to get away with that, I do not get it. I do not get it, and I do not like it. And I hate how Maddie has been allowed to say and do the things she's done and has not been held accountable for what she's done off camera. I hate that. I wish they'd addressed that, because that needs to be addressed. Am I the only one who's confused as to why all these women always feel like they are the ones that are sort of pushing these men? They are the ones that are in control. They are the ones who are doing all the work, and these men are just sitting there and just watching them. Because I really don't get it. And I'm so confused as to why. It seems to be a common theme, or maybe it's sort of a code word that these women are using to get themselves out of trouble. Because you had Piripi and Steph, she complained about being the motherly role. You had Nate and Maddie, they had the same problem. Jesse and CJ, that was the same problem. And so make it make sense. How is it all these men have survived all their lives to 20-something, 30-something, without these women, and suddenly these women come in and say, oh, I've had to take the control, I've had to be the lead in this relationship because he hasn't been doing anything, I haven't felt challenged. So you mean this man was nothing up until he met you? Is that what you're trying to say? Make it make sense? You mean to tell me that Piripi didn't know how to do anything? Just like Maddie was saying that, she had to teach Nate to read his emails and stuff. It's like, no. I wish the experts would challenge these women, because yes, they did challenge Steph to sort of say, what do you think you contributed to the downfall of this relationship? She didn't say anything tangible as far as I'm concerned. She said, oh, I came in wanting things to go at a certain pace, and then eventually I couldn't offload the responsibility to somebody else. Well, those were your expectations of this experiment. Those were not Piripi's expectations. So you can't blame Piripi for something that's your fault. You can't blame him for that. And you can't sort of hold him accountable for not meeting a standard that you set for yourself. He can only be himself. It's either you take him as he is or you leave him, and he's okay. He will find this person that will appreciate him for the person that he is. You will find at least they were respectful in their discussion. It wasn't as combative as Nate and Maddie, because Maddie, I think, came expecting Nate to sort of have a go at her, and him not saying anything leaves her in this space whereby she doesn't know what to do. And so I'm happy that at least with Piripi and Steph, they were able to address their concerns. Yes, not fully. I think she should have been called out for some of the things that she did or said to him, and the fact that she brought up that he had applied to a dating show. It's one thing if he had applied to something like The Challenge or Survivor, and then he suddenly applies to Married at First Sight. But if he had applied to a dating show where he lives with someone, it's no different to Married at First Sight. The only difference is with Married at First Sight, you get married. So I don't get her problem, and I don't get why she's bringing it up. I think she's just looking for an excuse to make him look like the bad guy. Next up is Cara and Michael. And sadly, people like Cara will never learn. They will never learn, irregardless of how you sort of you show them the mirror and tell them, look at this, this is ABC. She'll never learn, because she still held on to the fact that Michael said he wasn't attracted to her. I get where Michael is coming from. Yes, he said there was no sexual urge. He didn't say she wasn't attractive. He said there was no sexual urge. So urge to have sex and attraction, or someone is attractive, are two totally different things. And I agree with Michael that someone can be stunning. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to want to jump their bones. That doesn't mean everybody's going to want to have sex with them. Just because you're beautiful doesn't mean that everybody's going to see you as sexy. People define sexy or are attracted to different things about different people. So the audacity to hold on to that and say, oh, he said he wasn't attracted to me. He said, what about Michael didn't you find attractive? What about him? He told you you were beautiful. He's not knocking your beauty, but he's just saying, I'm not getting the urge to rip off your clothes. And so I don't get why the experts continue to not hold these women's feet to the fire. As a woman, I should support women, but this I don't get. Yeah, Michael sort of held Sam's feet to the fire to sort of say, why did you feel the need to sort of regurgitate what you heard from your husband? I agree with him. It wasn't her place to sort of repeat what she had heard, because whatever her husband told her, she should have kept it in confidence, or she should have told her husband that he needs to go back and tell Michael, to tell Cara, because Cara is struggling. That way they would have addressed it themselves, because now it puts her husband in a situation whereby if people are having conversations, they're always going to be mindful of what they say, because they're worried that, he's going to go back and tell his wife. And she did try to stand her ground. The fact that you had Steph and CJ trying to say, oh, you husbands should have stood up for her, you should have backed. No, they shouldn't have backed nothing. No, they shouldn't have backed nothing. If James wanted, since he repeated what was said, he should have backed it, because he's the one who took the message back. Everybody else, it wasn't their place to say anything. It wasn't their place. It was James who told his wife. He was responsible for backing his wife. He didn't back his wife, so that's it. For her to say, for Sam to say, oh, we fought about it, blah, blah, blah. Why did you involve yourself in another couple's marriage? Why? He didn't say for you to go and tell your wife, and you didn't tell your wife for her to go and tell her friend. That's all your old problem. And for Cara to say, oh, I don't like the fact that on the couch you were repeating things about me and saying that I'm very combative and I'm this, that. And it's like, play the tapes. Play the tapes. That waffle thingy of hers telling him off while she's eating waffles still sticks in the back of my mind. How she was very disinterested and very derogatory sort of towards him. I didn't like that. And the way she was patronizing and making him feel like, he was pretending and he was play acting. Had he done the same thing, I'm willing to bet anything, there would have been articles written about him. People would have been protesting to the TV station to say, we do not want to see this. He needs to be held accountable for this. He needs to. And yet Cara got away with it. And we move on to the next couple. I'm actually pleasantly surprised, because yes, the other couples were not held accountable, but I like how they addressed Jesse and CJ, because with Jesse and CJ, they were able to replay that tape of them. You know, the what do you call it? What do you call it? Oh God, I've forgotten the term they use for an open mic. So they played the recording after the dinner party where they had this fight, and the one was called delusional and one was patronizing and sort of saying it's adult talk and stuff. So I like the fact that the experts actually held both of them to account, because CJ wanted to make it seem like Jesse was the one at fault. So for her to be asked that, you know, yes, he said the wrong words. Yes, delusional is wrong. Yes, loopy is a bad word. But still, what did you do that made him feel that way, or that might have sort of pushed him or provoked him to react the way he reacted? And for her to sort of, I like that eventually she owned up and said, okay, fine, maybe my tone of voice wasn't good, and the fact that I was patronizing. Yes, she was patronizing towards him. She really was. And it's sad to see, because you can't talk to someone like that and not expect them to react. You can't talk to someone like that and not expect them to react. The fact that they were both willing to sort of own their mistakes and sort of apologize for what they did was good. I love the fact that she said, you know, he wrote her an apology after she left the experiment. Just she said he wrote a novel, so I don't know, whatever he wrote, maybe he wanted to get everything off his chest, and I think that sort of softened her. So it was good to see that they actually left on good note, and he gave her a toothbrush, which was sweet. And I know they didn't get a marriage, but hopefully they found a friend, or they've left on mutual terms, which is what you always want. You don't want to feel like you haven't fully sort of opened up, or you haven't fully addressed anything that's worrying you. So I'm happy that they were able to do that, in the sense that Jesse was able to get himself heard, or sort of express himself, or address any issues that he had. And the same could be said for CJ. So I'm happy for the two of them. I think ending with James and Sam was amazing, because they are the embodiment of what Married at First Sight is. Two people that come with a list of what they want in a partner. They are matched with someone and they're willing to do the work. And when they do the work, it actually works. So yes, they were attracted to one another. Yes, they really liked each other as people. They were very accommodating. They were understanding of what they were putting themselves up to, because Sam has a child, and the fact that they were able to match her with a teacher who, you know, he hasn't dealt with 5-year-olds, he said, but at least he has an understanding of children, was amazing. And he's a very patient and caring and empathetic man. This was the best match that they had. Some of the other matches, I didn't get them. I don't even get where they thought Maddie and Nate were a good idea. That didn't make sense. And it was evident in their journey, because she railroaded him. Even with CJ and Jesse, so the guys, it seemed, were very nice guys, but sadly were matched with these ladies that were sort of set in their ways and not willing to budge. And you get Kara continually, slide in my DMs. Seeing how she behaved on the show, I would be surprised if anyone slid in her DMs. I would be surprised, because who wants to be told you're dimming my light, you're overshadowing me, you're doing this, who wants to put up with that? I can only imagine. I accidentally came across this show, and I'm happy that I watched it. I wish my favorites, Nate and Piripi, I hope they find love. I really hope they find love, because sadly, I feel like the experiment shortchanged them, in the sense that they were matched with the wrong type of women, and sadly the women were not accommodating. The guys were willing to work, they were willing to adjust and sort of contort themselves, but their wives were not willing to do any of the work. They had a list of what they wanted, and sadly they were not willing to budge. Someone like Maddie, who had previously been married, you think should be more accommodating, or should know exactly what she wants, and once she finds someone who's willing to sort of bend to that, she would then be willing to do the work. But poor Nate did not stand a chance. He did not stand a chance. I think she would have been better off had she been set up with Michael. I said this before and I'll say it again. And poor Michael, he was so beaten down that he was a shadow of his former self by the end of the experiment. He wasn't his bubbly and outgoing self. He looked very low in mood, very sunken. I don't know whether he was sick or whether he was depressed. Something wasn't right with him. Sadly, the women need to do a lot of work. If nothing else, they need to rewatch the show and learn their lessons from their mistakes during the show. Anyway, I digress. Thanks, guys, for following me during this season. I'll see you next time. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 14. Bye, guys.